May 28, 2022. Popasna, Luhansk Oblast. Wagner Group mercenaries had captured the town weeks earlier after brutal fighting. The private military company established command facilities in buildings they assumed were safe from Ukrainian strikes. Then came the coordinates. Intelligence identified the location. The decision was made. A single HIMARS launcher positioned dozens of kilometers away prepared to fire. 6 M31 guided rockets, each carrying a 200-pound high-explosive warhead, launched in rapid succession. Flight time, approximately 2 minutes. Impact, precise. The building housing Wagner commanders and personnel took direct hits. According to Ukrainian military sources, significant casualties resulted among the mercenary leadership. This was HIMARS demonstrating why it changed the battlefield calculus. Real precision, real consequences. Skyfall warfare documents what happened. The M142 high-mobility artillery rocket system had arrived in Ukraine just weeks before this strike. The United States announced the first HIMARS package in early June 2022, though some systems may have arrived earlier under operational security. These truck-mounted launchers could fire 6 GPS-guided rockets with accuracy measured in meters at ranges up to 80 kilometers using standard M31 ammunition. For Russian and Wagner forces accustomed to operating beyond Ukrainian artillery range, HIMARS represented a new threat they were unprepared for. Popasna itself held strategic significance. Located in Luhansk Oblast, the town sat on key road networks. Russian forces, heavily supplemented by Wagner mercenaries, had fought for weeks to capture it. Urban combat devastated the town. By late May, Wagner controlled Popasna and was using it as staging area for further operations toward Bakhmut. Command elements established themselves in what they believed were secure rear positions. That assumption proved fatal. The intelligence preparation for this strike remains partially classified, but general process can be inferred. Ukrainian forces needed precise location of Wagner command facility. This required human intelligence, signals intelligence, or aerial reconnaissance. Given the urban environment and need for exact coordinates, multiple intelligence sources likely contributed. Once location was confirmed, targeting data was transmitted to HIMARS battery. The rocket system's advantage lay in rapid displacement after firing, making counter-battery fire difficult. Which intelligence method proved most critical for this strike? Human sources on the ground, electronic surveillance, or aerial reconnaissance? Modern precision strikes typically integrate multiple intelligence streams. In Popasna's case, the presence of Wagner forces created distinctive signatures. Command facilities require communications infrastructure. Higher-ranking personnel create identifiable patterns. Local resistance or informants could provide location data. Combining these sources produces targeting confidence necessary for committing expensive precision munitions. The M31 unitary warhead rocket carries GPS guidance system, providing accuracy within 10 meters. Each rocket costs approximately $168,000. 6 rockets represent approximately $1 million in munitions. The cost seems high until compared to alternatives. Conventional artillery achieving similar precision would require hundreds of shells. Aircraft delivering precision bombs face air defense risks. HIMARS offered optimal combination of range, accuracy, and crew safety. Satellite imagery analysis after the strike showed impact damage consistent with multiple precision hits. Commercial satellite providers documented the area, though exact timing of imagery relative to strike varies in open sources. Building damage patterns suggested concentrated impacts rather than dispersed artillery fire. This signature matched HIMARS employment rather than conventional systems. Have you seen the satellite images from this strike? Check the sources linked in description. Ukrainian official sources provided limited details initially. Operational security around HIMARS employment remained tight. As weeks passed, more information emerged. Ukrainian officials acknowledged strikes on Wagner positions in Popasna area. Claims of significant casualties among mercenary leadership circulated, but could not be independently verified with exact numbers. Russian and Wagner sources largely remained silent on the incident, standard practice for acknowledging losses. The tactical significance extended beyond immediate casualties. Wagner Group operated as Russian proxy force, providing deniability while conducting aggressive operations. These mercenaries, many recruited from Russian prisons later in the conflict, suffered high casualties but continued operations. Hitting command elements disrupted coordination and planning. Even temporary leadership disruption degrades unit effectiveness. Replacing experienced commanders requires time and reduces operational tempo. The psychological impact on Wagner forces deserves consideration. Knowledge that Ukrainian systems could precisely target facilities dozens of kilometers behind lines created persistent threat. No position was truly safe. Command elements had to disperse, communicate carefully, and constantly relocate. These precautions impose operational friction, slowing decision cycles, and complicating coordination. The HIMARS effect transcended individual strikes to reshape behavior. Following documented HIMARS arrivals in Ukraine, Russian and Wagner forces began systematic changes. Command posts relocated frequently, ammunition depots dispersed, troop concentrations reduced. Electronic emissions decreased as forces recognized that communications could enable targeting. These adaptations confirmed HIMARS' effectiveness, even beyond direct strike damage. Does this pattern indicate that precision strike systems provide disproportionate strategic impact? Historical precedent suggests yes. Precision munitions allow smaller forces to threaten larger ones by exploiting intelligence advantages and technological superiority. One HIMARS launcher can influence enemy behavior across hundreds of square kilometers. The threat forces defensive adaptations, consuming time and resources. The cost-benefit calculation favors the attacker possessing precision systems. Comment your analysis. The Popasna strike occurred during critical phase of the conflict. Russian forces had seized momentum in Donbass, grinding forward through artillery-intensive operations. Ukrainian forces needed capabilities to strike high-value targets beyond conventional artillery range. HIMARS provided exactly that capability. Each successful strike validated the system and encouraged expanded employment. American military advisors emphasized proper targeting discipline. HIMARS munitions were limited. Each rocket needed to count. Striking Wagner command facility represented high-value target worth the expenditure. Lower priority targets could be engaged with conventional artillery. This targeting discipline maximized HIMARS' strategic impact while preserving limited ammunition stocks. The ammunition supply chain became critical consideration. M31 rockets required transportation from United States to Europe to Ukraine, then distribution to launcher units. Production rates limited how many rockets could be supplied. Ukrainian forces needed to husband ammunition for highest priority targets. This created interesting dynamic where threat of HIMARS sometimes achieved effects without firing. Russian forces, not knowing which facilities might be targeted, had to protect many possibilities. The doctrine for employing HIMARS evolved through combat experience. Early strikes tested Russian defensive responses. As patterns emerged, Ukrainian forces refined tactics. Shoot and scoot procedures minimized counter-battery risk. Decoy positions complicated Russian targeting. Maintenance and logistics adapted to sustain high operational tempo. The system proved robust and reliable, maintaining high availability rates. Wagner Group's role in the conflict created unique targeting considerations. As mercenary force rather than regular military, Wagner operated with different rules of engagement and casualty tolerances. They accepted risks regular Russian units might refuse. This made them effective assault force, but also made their command vulnerable. Concentrated leadership in forward areas created targeting opportunities. Ukrainian intelligence apparently exploited this vulnerability. Which weapon system proves most effective for precision strikes against command facilities? Long-range missiles, air-launched munitions, or rocket artillery like HIMARS? Each has advantages. HIMARS offered optimal combination for Ukraine's situation. Range beyond Russian artillery, precision to minimize collateral damage, mobility for survivability, and lower cost than cruise missiles. The system filled critical capability gap. If you follow verified military analysis, type verified. The strategic ripple effects from Popasna and similar strikes accumulated over months. Russian forces lost numerous senior officers and experienced personnel to precision strikes throughout the conflict. Each loss degraded institutional knowledge and leadership quality. Replacements often lacked experience. This contributed to declining Russian operational effectiveness over time. The cumulative attrition of leadership matters as much as frontline casualties. The information warfare surrounding HIMARS became notable. Russian sources initially dismissed the system's significance, claiming old Soviet air defenses could intercept the rockets. As strikes continued successfully, Russian narrative shifted to claiming HIMARS made minimal difference. Ukrainian sources celebrated each success, sometimes with tactical details, sometimes with operational security limiting disclosures. Western military analysts generally assessed HIMARS as highly effective, fundamentally changing the battlefield dynamics. Months after the Popasna strike, HIMARS employment continued throughout operational areas. Ammunition depots, command posts, logistics hubs, and troop concentrations all faced targeting. Russian forces never developed fully effective countermeasures. Some rockets were reportedly intercepted, but success rates remained low. The GPS guidance proved difficult to jam effectively. The speed and trajectory made interception challenging. The mobility prevented effective counter-battery fire. What tactical adaptation should we watch for next? Share your thoughts. The comparison to other precision strike systems provides context. Storm Shadow and Scalp cruise missiles, introduced later, offered greater range but higher cost per shot in limited quantities. Tactical aviation delivering precision bombs faced air defense threats. Conventional artillery lacked range and precision. HIMARS occupied sweet spot of capability, availability, and cost effectiveness. This explained why Ukrainian forces requested more HIMARS launchers throughout the conflict. The Wagner Group continued operations in Popasna and beyond despite the documented strike. Mercenary forces proved resilient, absorbing casualties and continuing missions. However, the strike demonstrated that no position provided absolute safety. Ukrainian precision strike capabilities could reach throughout operational depth. This strategic message mattered as much as tactical damage. The training Ukrainian forces received on HIMARS emphasized safety, maintenance, and tactical employment. American advisors provided doctrine and technical expertise. Ukrainian crews adapted these lessons to specific battlefield conditions. The learning curve proceeded quickly, with Ukrainian forces achieving proficiency rapidly. This reflected both system design simplicity and crew motivation. The logistics of sustaining HIMARS operations required international cooperation. Rockets manufactured in the United States needed transportation to Europe, then Ukraine. Coordination with NATO partners ensured steady supply flow. This supply chain became strategic target for Russian information operations, which attempted to discourage Western support. The continued supply, despite these efforts, demonstrated alliance commitment. The Popasna strike exemplified precision warfare principles. Accurate intelligence enables precise targeting. Precision munitions minimize waste while maximizing effect. Rapid strike execution prevents target escape. Mobility ensures launcher survival. These principles, executed effectively, allow smaller forces to achieve disproportionate impact against larger adversaries. This analysis is based on available open-source information and official statements as of May 2022. Exact casualty figures from the Wagner strike remain unverified. Specific technical details about intelligence collection and targeting procedures remain classified. Skyfall warfare aims to provide fact-based analysis while acknowledging information limitations. The documented strategic impact shows HIMARS changed battlefield dynamics in Ukraine. Russian and Wagner forces adapted tactics to reduce vulnerability. Precision strikes degraded command and logistics capabilities. The psychological effect of persistent threat influenced enemy behavior beyond actual strikes. Supply chain cooperation between Ukraine and Western partners enabled sustained operations. What does verified evidence tell us about effectiveness? Precision rocket artillery successfully targeted command facilities at ranges beyond conventional artillery, forcing enemy tactical adaptations. How have tactics evolved based on documented incidents? Russian forces dispersed command elements, reduced electronic emissions, and implemented frequent relocation procedures. What patterns in real strikes indicate future operations? Continued targeting of high-value command, control, and logistics nodes using precision munitions appears standard operational procedure. Real warfare. Real analysis. Skyfall warfare. Subscribe to Skyfall Warfare for documented analysis of real precision strike operations. Sources in description.